the evening of November the 9th, 1989, viewers turned on their TVs and could hardly believe their eyes. The Berlin Wall, a structure that had divided the city for nearly 30 years and seemed immovable, had fallen. This event, now 35 years ago, set off a chain reaction that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of communism in Europe. For many in Europe, it was a miracle. Others see it as the work of a man canonized by Pope Francis a decade ago.
I am absolutely convinced that without Pope John Paul II, the German reunification would not have happened.
When Martin Rottweiler was born, Germany was split into East and West. The future director and founder of EWTN Germany watched the Berlin Wall fall on television on November the 9th, 1989.
I was in Rome at the time because I was working for a magazine here, and I saw the fall of the Berlin Wall on television. The whole thing seemed so surreal to me. You see people climbing over the wall. You see masses of people streaming from East Berlin to West Berlin. It was simply unbelievable. As a child, you grew up in this situation where you were told, there's the Eastern Bloc and there's the West. There's the Warsaw Pact on one side and NATO on the other. That was cemented.
Jest to rocznica, która łączy nas wszystkich, Polaków.
Martin Rottweiler is not the only German who's convinced that John Paul II played an important role. The German Cardinal Joachim Meisner, who died in 2017, was a personal friend of the Polish Pope.
After all, John Paul II changed the world. Without him, there would be no Solidarność movement in Poland. I also don't know whether communism would have come to an end without John Paul II. So, the merits of John Paul in the downfall of the communism can certainly not be overestimated.
Des Kommunismus gar nicht hoch genug einschätzen.
Shortly after his election as Pope, Pope John Paul II began working behind the scenes to help suppressed opponents of the communist dictatorship. In 1981, John Paul II survived an assassination attempt and decided to consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, just as Our Lady had told the children of Fatima to do.
Matka Boża.
Our Lady told the children of Fatima that Russia should be consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and at the same time, Our Lady encouraged them to pray the Rosary for the sins of mankind. The Holy Father John Paul decided to carry out and accomplish what Our Lady asked.
Wypełnić to, co Matka Boża żądała.
Cardinal Stanisław Dziwisz, the former Archbishop of Krakow, was John Paul II's private secretary during his entire papacy.
Szczęść Boże, księże kardynale.
In an interview with EWTN in 2016, Cardinal Dziwisz recalled the consequences of this consecration.
Ja mogę tylko powiedzieć,
I can only say what I've heard from the bishops of the eastern countries. From this consecration, a process has begun that has ended with the freedom of those nations that were oppressed by the communism and Marxism. After this event, the world became a different world. Not only the fall of the Berlin Wall, not only the fall of the Iron Curtain, but also the fall of Marxism in the world, which was rooted above all in the universities and in circles all over the world.
w szkołach, na całym świecie.
When Pope Francis finally canonized his predecessor in 2014, the former Chancellor of Germany, Helmut Kohl, recalled John Paul II's first visit in 1996 to a reunified Germany in a newspaper article.
I remember the evening of June 23, 1996, as if it was yesterday. there was a demonstration on the east side of the Brandenburg Gate because of the Pope's visit. On the way there, the Pope and I walked together from west to east through the Brandenburg Gate. At that moment, he took me by the hand and he said, "Mr. Chancellor, this is a great moment in my life. I, the Pope from Poland, am standing with you, the German Chancellor, at the Brandenburg Gate, and the gate is open. The wall has fallen. Berlin and Germany are no longer divided, and Poland is free."
The Polish Pope then addressed a few words to the Germans in German.
May God give you and your German fatherland the strength to complete this work.
Before Martin Rottweiler founded EWTN in Germany, he had also met John Paul II personally in Rome. For him, the Polish Pope's contribution to the collapse of communism is undeniable.
Ich glaube, wenn einer daran Zweifel gehabt hätte,
If anyone had any doubts about it, the best witness is Mikhail Gorbachev, the then General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, who himself testified that without John Paul II, this revolution would probably not have taken place, or at least not in this peaceful way. And John Paul II was a very early supporter, especially of the Solidarność movement in Poland, which stood up against the communist state. In this respect, I believe he made a very, very great contribution.
"30 years after the end of the Cold War, Europe is at war again.
Yet, we have strayed from the path of peace. We have forgotten the lesson learned from the tragedies of the last century, the sacrifice of the millions who fell in 2 world wars.
On March the 25th, 2022, 1 month after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Pope Francis decided to repeat the grand gesture of John Paul II.
Therefore, Mother of God and our Mother, to your Immaculate Heart we solemnly entrust and consecrate ourselves, the Church and all humanity, especially Russia and Ukraine. Accept this act that we carry out with confidence and love. Grant that war may end and peace spread throughout the world.
The war in Europe goes on and costs more lives every day. But if the life of John Paul II has shown one thing, it's this: miracles often happen when you least expect them.